Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lexi Thierry and I'm an online personal trainer and spiritual mentor. If you are new here, then welcome to my channel. I do videos that are faith related, fitness related, or just about my lifestyle. And today is going to be a video that's kind of a little bit different, but also very relevant to like my entire mission or my entire ministry on Instagram and what I do with my Women of Worth mentorship that I have talked about before here on my channel. And my story that I'm going to share with you is kind of the entire like reason why I have that mentorship and the reason why I'm where I am today. And it's kind of a difficult thing for me to talk about because, like, if you can imagine, like you see the pictures in the thumbnail. It's not like an easy thing to look at, but it is easier for me now because I lived through it and because God has just radically changed my mind on it. So we're gonna be talking about some hard things for me today, but it's going to be worth it, and I hope that you stick around to the end of this video. So let's get right into it. Okay, so to understand, or basically before I talk about what I'm gonna talk about, you kind of need to understand my story and where I came from. So my senior year in high school, I'm like 5 years out of high school now. My senior year in high school, I finally beat my eating disorder. And at that point in my life, I hated fitness, like didn't want anything to do with it. So I resorted to doing no exercise after like I had an injury and couldn't play volleyball my senior year. And my eating disorder just went full force because I didn't know what to do with myself. And a lot of my eating disorder stemmed from an insecurity that I had from past relationships. And that's a whole nother story. It's another part of my testimony. But my senior year, I finally was freed from it. Not necessarily, I wasn't mentally freed from it, but I was freed from the act of my eating disorder. At that same time, because I no longer had control, or it was very much a lack of control, but I thought it was control of my body, I needed a different outlet. And so what happened was I traded one addiction for another addiction. And that addiction was to be skinny by exercise and nutrition. And so what happened was I went from 2 eating disorders to the keto diet. And I also at the same time discovered that I actually really had this love for the gym. My boyfriend then, who is now my husband, taught me about the gym. He taught me how to lift and how to be confident in the gym, and I just fell in love with it. And at first, it wasn't an unhealthy thing. It was very much just like I loved feeling strong, I loved lifting weights, I loved going to the gym and not having this like constant repetitive thing of doing cardio, because that's what I thought fitness was. And so when I got introduced into weights, I was like, yes, like this is liberating as heck. And I loved it, and I just wanted to do it all the time. And that turned into way too much exercise, like 2 or 3 times a day exercise, 2 lifting, 1 cardio session, or 1 lifting, 2 cardio sessions. And it was just very not good. It wasn't necessarily mentally not good, it was just physically not good, because in my head I was just like, no, I just love to do this. I just love to move my body. And what I didn't realize was how much it was actually damaging my body and damaging a lot of things going on. At that same time, or a little bit later, after I realized that the keto diet was just not for me because I love carbs, and I was introduced into this thing called IIFYM, or if it fits your macros. And I've talked about this on my channel before, but if you're new here, basically it just is tracking protein, carbs, and fats. And I want to disclaim this here because this is a very important thing, because it's still a tool that I use in my mentorship with my girls sometimes. It is a very helpful tool in understanding how to nourish your specific body. It helps you, because a lot of people come to me and they say like, I don't know how much to eat. I don't know if I'm eating too much or too little. So taking time to actually look at how much food that you're eating and to track it and to be aware of it just puts your perspective in the place that you need it to be to actually know how to lose weight or how much you're eating. So it's a very, very good tool. But what I didn't know about myself is that I have an addictive personality. So I went from treating my eating disorders to going full force in exercise and tracking macros. And this is what happened for me, okay? And the first picture that you saw in the thumbnail, that was after a year of what's called reverse dieting. And I don't need to go into the like scientific explanation of that, but basically what happened was after I had been in the keto diet for so long, my body was just like, no sis, like this is not gonna work. So when I started the reverse diet, I started with a total of like 900 calories a day. That's how much I was eating because that's how much I thought the keto diet made me eat or like allow me to eat. So I reverse dieted, which basically just means adding in calories over time from 900 calories to over 3,000 calories in a year's time. And what happened was in that year, I lost 50 pounds. And that doesn't make sense to a lot of people because they're like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? You ate 3,000 calories and added calories in and you lost 50 pounds? Yes, and I still don't understand it fully, and it does not happen for everybody, but my body just loved the fact that I was feeding it properly and my hormones were working great and it was just a fully thriving body basically. Then, after I had lost that 50 pounds on my wedding day, that thumbnail picture is the day before my wedding. And I was very small. I was 110 pounds and I still, to this day, can remember myself looking in the mirror on my wedding day and saying, I still don't look good enough. And I remember looking to one of my bridesmaids and saying like, do I look okay? Do I look bloated or fat today? And they like couldn't believe that I was asking that question because I was so small and yet I could not see that. And what happened then was after I got back from our honeymoon, I decided to like bulk up, which basically just means put on muscle and eat even more. So that meant I was eating more than 3,000 calories, close to 4,000 calories a day. And for some reason at that time, my body was like, we're done, you're eating too much. And all of a sudden I started to blow up. And it was very hard for me at first. And at the same time that happened, as soon as I got back from my honeymoon, my digestion started being even worse. At that same time that I started to blow up, I started to have digestion problems. And at the same time as that, I hurt my back. I hurt my L5-S1 and my lower back doing deadlifting and just like a constant repetitive motion on my spine, a compression of squatting and deadlifting with like not with improper form. So imagine this with me for a second. I look like that in the first picture in the thumbnail, and then I just start slowly gaining weight back, just slowly gaining it back, and I was completely out of control of it. It was so frustrating to me because I was like, this would be okay if I could control it. This would be okay if this was part of the bulking that I wanted to do. But the fact then that I had started to then decrease my calories because I was like, oh my gosh, my body's freaking out. The fact that I decreased calories and was still gaining weight was petrifying to me because I was like, no, I just worked so hard for 2 years to have this body and to feel really good, like physically, and to be fit. And all of a sudden it is just completely reversing and I have no control over it. And I had to stop going to the gym for 1.5 years. I had to be very limited on the foods that I could eat, and I basically just felt like a vegetable. And it quickly became this like, I'm going full force all into my relationship with my physical health. I put my spiritual health on the back burner. When I was going through all this stuff and I couldn't go to the gym, I was forced to focus on my spiritual health because I couldn't go to the gym. I would wake up in the morning and instead of going to the gym, I would sit down in this little chair in our super small apartment and I would be forced to read my Bible because I didn't have anywhere else to go. And like, let me just tell you, that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. It wasn't like I was not forced in a bad way, forced in a good way, because I had to put my anxiety and my everything that I was feeling somewhere. So I chose to put it in the word, and to go there and to use that as my outlet instead of the gym. And it was so healing for me. And if you've listened to my podcast on dealing with pain, then you know my story about all of that and how my pain actually healed me. So I just want to share with you some of the things that I stopped doing or started doing or realized through that journey that helped me love myself in who I am today and what I look like today, and how much that like it just doesn't matter to me anymore. So the very first thing is I stopped focusing on what I wanted other people to see or what I thought other people wanted to see in me. So as you can imagine, a lot of the like pursuit of the body that I wanted came from this idea that people would respect me better, find me more valuable, find me more beautiful if I looked a certain way. And that comes from my childhood and relationships that were just toxic and stuff. And just feeling like if I had the perfect body, if I had the body that you see in magazines or in Victoria's Secret models, that I would just be it, and I would finally feel worthy or good enough. And so in that time period of my life just completely changing and my body just completely changing again and having no control, I had to release that pressure that I put on myself of like what I thought other people wanted me to look like. And it was very liberating for me because I just realized that like my body is my body. Like I don't care what other people think about it, because it is not for them to agree with or to disagree with. It's for me to worship God with. And let me tell you that was a hard thing for me to get to. Like it wasn't overnight. It's been 2 years almost now, and I'm just getting here. But it's something that I did realize because I just realized how much I was putting my worth in what other people would label me or what other people would say about me or what I think they would think about me if I looked a certain way. And it was just so, it was so toxic to me because let me tell you this real quick, okay? When I looked that good, or when I looked that small, I guess I would say, because some people say I didn't look good. When I was that small, I did get compliments. I got compliments out the wazoo because it was like people were like, oh my gosh, you did this thing, like your fitness, you're crushing it in the gym. I got compliments all the time, and it felt like I was pleasing people. It felt like I was getting people's approval, right? But what happens when the compliments stop? You know, because that's what happened to me when I was no longer 110 pounds and I started gaining weight and it was out of my control. Nobody complimented me anymore. Nobody said anything to me anymore. And so that realization of seeing and like not seeing, I guess, people compliment me was a wake-up call for me, because I was like, oh gosh, am I doing this because I just love the compliments that other people give me? Or am I doing this because I just want to steward my body? And it was the first one, not the second one. Second thing I did was I stopped stepping on the scale. I don't know if you feel captive to the scale right now, but please just hear me when I say that if you throw that thing away, if you just shove it under something or you put it somewhere where you can't find it, or ask your boyfriend or your husband to just put it somewhere, it is freeing. It is freeing to not have to step on the scale, because we give way too much credit to that thing. And I promise you that if you put that thing away and you start focusing on your mind and on your heart and on your soul, one day you might step on that scale and it might not change, but your heart will change. And that's a huge message of what I have for my mentorship with the girls, because I just want you to know that we give way too much credit to this thing that simply tells us how much we are taking up space, how much we weigh. It's just a factor, it's just a measurement. It's not a definition of our value or our worth, and I just need you to hear that. So I did away with my scale. Straight up did away with it. We have another one in my bathroom right now, and I don't have any like even inclination of a reason to step on it. Because when you stop stepping on it and you stop giving it the power that you are, it's like, oh, it really doesn't matter how much I weigh, because that's not going to change my value. It's not going to change my worth. Like, is it a good measurement of my progress? Absolutely, but there's also other ways to measure your progress, like progress pictures, measurements that you can actually take with like measuring tape, how your clothes fit, how you feel internally. All of those things are so much better than what the scale is going to say. Third thing was I stopped looking in the mirror and picking my body apart. I'm gonna get really real with you for a second, okay? Tell me, comment below or put a heart below or like this video if you have ever done this. You've ever walked in front of the mirror, just casually, you know, just went to the bathroom, just walking in front of the mirror, and you just pull your shirt up and look at your stomach and flex a little bit, suck in a little bit, and just take an inventory of what's going on. I'm just saying, I have done that so often, and I still am guilty of doing that today, but man, when I gave myself permission, and you do have to give yourself permission to stop looking at yourself in the mirror, like, you can look at yourself in the mirror obviously, but when you stop looking at yourself in the mirror with the intention of picking yourself apart, or with the intention of rating yourself or degrading yourself or speaking negatively to yourself, it is a game changer. It is so nice, it is so sweet, it is so different, and it's just good, it's thriving. And I don't know why we think that we have to do that. I don't know why that we think that as soon as we look in the mirror, we just have to look at our body and pick it apart. I don't know where that came from, where that lie became rooted in us, but it is not something that you have to do. If you don't feel good in clothes, burn the freaking clothes, okay? I did this thing where I like held on to my clothes that I wore when I was 110 pounds, and I was like, I'm gonna get there again. Sis, don't torture yourself like that. Don't do it. I threw them all away, donated all of them, and I got a whole new wardrobe that fit this body right now. Because to me, I would rather have clothes that feel comfortable right now, even if I want to lose weight, so that when I start to lose weight, these clothes that feel comfortable now will then get bigger. Not that I try to squeeze into these clothes that I used to fit in and just hope that I like shrink into them. That does nothing for my confidence at all, and I know that it doesn't for you either. So I just encourage you to, one, stop looking at yourself in the mirror with the intentions of picking yourself apart, and two, get rid of the clothes that you're holding on to that in hopes of fitting into. Just love your body for what it looks like now and be okay with changing it, but be okay with changing it because you love it, not because you hate it. The fourth thing is that I changed my perspective. This is probably the hardest and most difficult thing for me to like explain, because it just is that. It's me changing my perspective, and it's me mostly like a mind shift, right? It's not necessarily, my body didn't change at all, but it's a mind shift of my perspective on my body and my perspective on life and what I'm doing with my body. So when I shifted my mindset from thinking I'm working out to be smaller, I'm working out to be skinnier, or whatever, it became I'm working out because I want to steward my body. I'm working out because one day I want to be able to run with my kids. One day I want to be able to I don't know, just be active when I'm old and not be like crippled and be like 50 years old and have all these aches and pains. I want to be strong. I want to be somebody who can, you know, walk up and down the stairs and not feel like I'm dying. The more that I focus on myself, the more that I will find is wrong with me, or that I think is wrong, or that I think the world thinks that is wrong. And it takes my mindset off of what God wants me to use my body for and onto what I want my body to look like. And that kind of goes along with the next one, number 5, was I started thanking God for what my body could do, not what it looked like. And that kind of goes along with the perspective shift, because when I stopped focusing on what my body looked like or what it didn't look like or what other people's bodies looked like and how I wanted it to look like theirs, and I started thanking God for what my body could do or how it was functioning properly, because in that time period it wasn't. Like, I had a severe herniated disc in my back and digestion problems that made me bloated all the time and made me feel really gross and just debilitated me. So when I started thanking God for what my body could do, like walk or work or love my husband or all of those little things, serve him, it was a perspective changer, and it gave me grace for myself. I guess that's what I could like sum all this up to, is grace for myself. And love for ourselves that doesn't come from a worldly perspective, but that comes from a eternal perspective, a wordly perspective. Because I just truly believe, and I'll talk about this in a second, but you can't love yourself the way that you want to love yourself, because you will always find fault in yourself. But if you love yourself the way that God loves you, if you love God, the way that you see yourself will change. And it might not always, you'll be tempted, and you'll have days where you're just like, bleh, I feel like a freaking busted can of biscuits. I have those days. But it offers this grace. It's this constant hand of extended grace for yourself. And I need that, because I don't give myself grace a lot of times if I don't have God's perspective on my life. And it's something that I'm still working through right now, not just on my appearance or my self-love, I guess, but on a lot of other areas of my life. I just have to remember that there's this constant open hand of grace for myself, and I have to be willing to give myself that sometimes, because the more that I try to love myself, the less that I will, because like I said, I'll always find something that's wrong, or I'll always find something that needs fixed, or I'll never live up to my own standards. But when I live up to God's standards, I can love myself differently, Number 6 is that I realize that my weight does not determine or dictate my value or my worth. Now, this is a hard one for me to explain, because I think that we don't like to admit that we do this, that we determine how much we weigh, whether we're a plus size or a petite or whatever, because either end of the spectrum, people still pick their bodies apart. Because trust me, I've been there. I've been a petite person, 110-pound 00 person, and I still picked myself apart my wedding day. And I just need you to hear me. I'm gonna say this again. It's really important for you to know. You can want to change your body. You can look at your body and say, I can do better. I can steward this better. I would love to lose some weight. I would love to get toner arms or toner legs. But if you're doing it out of a motivation to please other people, or because you think that it would create in you more value, or because you think that you would be able to love yourself better outwardly and inwardly if you were a different size, you will never arrive there. Never. Because I've tried. I've arrived to that weight, and I didn't get there. I didn't fully arrive there. And I hope this is encouraging to you in some way, and it's convicting also, but encouraging. Number 7 kind of encompasses everything, but to have a healthy body, I have to have a healthy mind. And so that means stewarding my spiritual health more than I'm focusing on my physical health. Because I truly believe that when you are stewarding your spiritual health and you're focusing on that as the thing that you're trying to nourish the most, you will want to nourish your body better. You want to take care of your body, because when you read the scripture, when you read the word, and when you read about God's heart and his heart for you and what he thinks about you, it changes your perspective to be like, oh my gosh, I have this ministry mission that God's given me, and I am missing out on fulfilling it if I am so focused on changing this body that I don't get to take with me to heaven. And again, you can want to steward your body and change your body and love it while you're here on earth. You should be able to do those things and want to love it and to be healthy inwardly and outwardly. But just know that when I myself in my personal life and with all of my clients, when they have tried a physical health journey before and they didn't invite God into the situation, they kind of how I was. I got to that point where, I started and it was really great. And I might have saw a little bit of progress, but then I got to a point where I was like, but wait, I want more. But wait, I want more. I got here, but wait, I want more. And it leaves us wanting more and more. And I think that our desire to want more isn't a bad thing. I always want to be a healthier person. But if wanting to be a healthier person means me sacrificing the way that I think about myself to be this image or to create this image of myself, that's not healthy for me, and that's not healthy for anybody. And it damages the way that you think about yourself. It creates a deeper insecurity when you are constantly telling yourself or trying to remind yourself that in order to be healthy, you have to be super skinny. That's not the truth. it makes me see my body differently. And it gives me the permission to look at it and say, you know, this isn't the body that I would have created for myself. It doesn't look like the body that, you know, the people that I used to want to look like. But God didn't make a mistake when he made me, and he's not making a mistake with me now, even though I have gained all this weight back, lost basically all my muscle. It's grace for myself, and it's a perspective change that I have had to allow / force myself to get to, and it's been a very growing mindset. It's been a very growing period in my life because I've been able to look at myself, look at my body, look at my relationship with Jesus, and know that the most important thing is what I do with my body, not what it looks like. I am not going to allow myself to live a life where I am constantly focused on how I don't look like other people, or how I don't feel like I am the ideal body image. All in all, after going through this probably really long video, and if you've made it to this point, I just want to say thank you. I just want to say that you are beautiful no matter how much you weigh, no matter what you look like or what you wish you looked like. I know that God has made this part of my story so that it can be part of my ministry. And yeah, if this didn't make sense to you, if you just listened to all this and you're like, I don't think I can ever get to that point, don't believe that lie, one, but also don't limit yourself or don't excuse the idea of being able to love yourself this way. I take care of my body in a completely different way than I took care of my body 2 years ago. Is it 100% completely healthy yet? No, because I have a lot of health issues, but man, I love to work out because I know that movement is stewarding my body. I love to eat nourishing foods because I know that it's going to keep me healthy and flourishing on the inside. And I have a great relationship with food right now, even though I'm on a liquid diet every other week. And I just encourage you to not give up on yourself and to not believe the lie that you're going to be stuck in this perpetual cycle of feeling not good enough or feeling like you have to diet. Because when you do it with God, when you invite God in, which I've made a video about this before, but when you invite God into every part of your life, even the ones that you don't think he cares about, like your fitness journey, things change. I love you so much. You are so, so loved and so beautiful, and love God, love yourself, and love people. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.